Welcome to GeniusesCast. In this podcast, we introduce the movers, shakers, and disruptors in the startup world. We focus not only on the brand itself, but also the person who's shaping up the brand. Today, our theme is how creator economy and influencer commerce will transform retail. This is one of those podcasts I have been super, and anxiously waiting for. My guest today is none other than Shahil Maharaj, who's CEO of 411 Gen, a technology platform to build influencer commerce powered mini stores for brands. Shahil also actually built Planet 54 into one of the largest online retailers in South Africa. Shahil, thank you so much for joining this episode of the podcast. How are you today?
Hey, Zeeshan, thank you so much for having me. I'm always great. Always great to connect on platforms like this and share knowledge. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm super excited to be part of this.
Very good. So, Shahil, as I said in my introduction, right, we really want to drill deeper into yourself as a person before we talk about your startup and scale up journey. And I know obviously, I've been working with you for the past 3 to 4 years, and I know you're more of a scale up entrepreneur. You've already exited a couple of companies, right? But before we get into your experience in the startup world, maybe talk a little bit about your background, both personally and professionally. We would love to learn more about yourself as a person.
Absolutely, thank you so much, Zeeshan. So my name is Shahil. I'm all the way in South Africa. So my lineage comes from India, and my parents, my great grandparents, moved to India, moved to South Africa in the 1800s. South Africa is, we've had some of our challenges being oppressed and in our past. And when I grew up in an average household. Mom worked, dad worked. I'm a sibling of three, the youngest one. I have a brother and a sister, and I always looked at the opportunities in the space of entrepreneurship. And I'm a graduate in the marketing space. I'm a storyteller, and I love business and entrepreneurship with a passion. My journey started when I was 16 years old. Obviously, had to hustle. I believe in hustle. I believe in the hustle mentality. And my journey started quite young, and I looked at how we could actually earn an income through business, right? No family history of business, no knowledge in that space. It was very hands-on mentality of the business space and entrepreneurship. In the early 2009s, 2010s, launched my first digital marketing company, went down the road of Facebook marketing, Google, SEO, when the platforms just were built and just scaled. That a company got acquired by another marketing company in South Africa. And when I understood that technology can solve so many problems around the world, I started looking at how commerce can be part of this. And I was headhunted by a company called the World Focus Group, one of the largest fashion houses in the country here in South Africa. And I was tasked with a very exciting project is how to digitize the company strategy for the future markets. And when I mention future markets, is one of my passions for me. A lot of people say it's crazy, but I love to dive in to technology where we don't know where the space is going. I've done that with e-commerce. I've done that in the Web3 space, avid Web3 believer as well, NFTs in that aspect, and also where the creative economy is going as well. So that's me in a nutshell. Love to get to know you guys more and answer much more questions along the way.
Amazing story, Shahil. And I'm actually always intrigued by, entrepreneurs like self who conceive really blockbuster ideas, right? I'm also curious to learn more about your leadership style because, one of the fascinating aspects of building and scaling up a large company is to inspire people, right? So, really curious to learn, what sort of leader are you and what is true leadership? What does true leadership mean to you?
Thanks, Ishan. So I get asked this quite often, and I've never looked at myself as a leader. I've never had my mentality and mindset to become a leader. And why I think it's so important that I say that is because the leaders who actually, or the people and individuals who actually end up leading a team, they do it because they have a passion and they have a love for people and business. You can have every single strategy and structure around you, but if you don't have the love for people and business, you can never become a leader. And my journey of becoming a leader and leading people in the way forward was I've always led by example in any part of the business. And the exciting part about startups and the leader startup culture is if you looked at when I launched my digital marketing company, when we launched Planet 54, which became one of the largest fashion e-commerce businesses in South Africa, no one understood the industry. So there was no experts. There was no skill set. So understanding that this technology and this market had to be built, I personally led, and I believe in leading your people, holding their hand, understanding every single process of a business completely. If you can't write and understand the sales script for your team, you can't expect your sales team to deliver the metrics they need. If you do not build and understand your support division completely, you will never understand what the problems are out there in your support division. So those are every single aspects of a company, of a division, of a strategy that I believe in. And you have to lead by example, you have to lead with compassion, and you have to lead with understanding. And the end goal of all of that is also leading with critical analysis. If you know a team member or a division is not performing optimally, you as a leader need to understand that you have done every single thing in your power to get this team or this division or this individual to the point that it needs to be at. And when they have reached that point and they haven't achieved those goals and those targets, as a leader, you also have to sit back and saying, you have to call the plug and you have to also make some very hard decisions as well. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of youngsters want to become leaders, they want to lead teams, but they also have to understand that with that, you also have to make very hard decisions and you have to make very hard calls.
Very, very good. And Shahil, I've worked with you, as I said, for the last 3 to 4 years, and I can absolutely attest to the fact that you are very, very collaborative. And clearly, I think some very interesting and key nuggets of intelligence in what you just described. So you obviously are a tech entrepreneur, right? As we know, the tech industry is always going through disruption, right? Why did you pick this industry? What is really fascinating about working in the world of tech?
I think Zeeshan, building SaaS, building tech platforms, and coming along the way of being very, very hands-on in the tech industry. I think there's a lot of exciting opportunities happening. Okay, we talk about product. We can talk about product until we go blue in our eyes. We can talk about AI technology. But where I feel what's really exciting, right, is solving these world problems, right, with technology, allowing people who never thought they could be an entrepreneur, but they could have a really good understanding of product and technology, that opportunity. But what I feel really fascinating in the space we're in right now in 2023 is how tech is now layering above other tech, where it's no more now, okay, right, I have this tech platform, cool, excellent, it's great. But how does technology like this here that you've built layer onto another technology platform and build another technology platform? And I think what's super exciting is the tech partnership space of how that's going to collaborate, how that's going to layer ideas, how that's going to centralize a lot of systems and automation and processes. So to me, that's where I think a lot of excitement is. And also, I've spoken at a podcast before, and it was, if I had to go into e-commerce, what would I build? How would I build it? And this is what a lot of entrepreneurs and tech people need to understand. If you take e-commerce as an industry alone, 5 years ago, you spoke about the platforms and that was the tech space, right? But now you talk about customer support. There's technology being built for that, right? You talk about automations and systems and ticketing and AI and warehousing. There's now technology being built for that. So the technology around the commerce space, around the ecosystem, that's what really excites me.
Love it, love it. Uh, I think so. You are obviously in an interesting spot where you already have scaled up a very successful business, and then you started 411 Gen. So you clearly kind of a second generation entrepreneur, if I may call you, right? Maybe if you want to talk about your journey, some of the learnings you had as you scaled up Planet 54 in one of the largest online retailers in South Africa, and how did you come up with the idea of 411 Gen, right? I think for a lot of particularly young entrepreneurs who are really looking to build new businesses, right? It's always
Yeah,
fascinating to learn from successful entrepreneurs like yourself. First, how do you come up with those blockbuster ideas?
amazing. So our journey at Planet 54 has always not been a great one. We've been in this space for 7 years. Started building on Magento, went into other different platforms, Shopify Plus. And what I think is some really exciting learnings that every entrepreneur should understand and learn and really look at is when you're scaling a business and you are launching a business, I bring it down to a few aspects is launch quick, fix quicker, relaunch even faster. And I'll give you some examples and learnings that happened in Planet 54. We launched in 2015, 2016. And within a year, we became one of the #1 fashion online stores in the country. 2017, we launched our first Black Friday. And we said, guys, we are breaking everything. Black Friday for us has always been how do you break systems in the company and how do you build it and scale it for the next year? And we looked at every single department. And 2017 was our most critical Black Friday ever, where we learned that e-commerce is a monster. You can be in retail, you can have 100 people coming to your store. You can close the door, you can serve those 100 people, you can give them their packages and they can leave. When we launched Planet 54's first Black Friday, as a customer, you were getting products from Planet 54 for the past year within 1 to 2 working days anywhere in South Africa. If you shopped with us on Black Friday 2017, your order took 3 months. 3 months. So we broke every single system within our company, from our support team to our warehouse, to our infrastructure, to our every aspect, stock management, every single aspect. And our staff worked for probably a month and a half from 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock at night on their own ambition and their own mindset, because we were building something that was exciting for the future. And learnings from that, we took it back to the drawing board. We apologized to our customers. And we also relooked at all the aspects that caused us to break. And that is the mentality of an entrepreneur, is when something breaks, understand what's the most effective and efficient way to fix it and launch it. And it's never going to be perfect. It's always going to break. It's always going to have problems. But having that mentality to understand that it broke, how do we fix it and how do we scale it? And when we also built Planet 54 as well, we looked at the challenges that were happening in the marketing space, in the go-to-market place. And we were investing a lot into Facebook advertising, a lot into Google, a lot into SEO. TikTok wasn't a platform at that time. YouTube, I think, was just starting off. So we also looked at how do we look at making this business a sustainable one? So we took a step back as well, and we looked at our financial model. We looked at our OpEx and we looked at our spend. And your highest spend in many of your tech spaces is your digital marketing spend. So we looked at formulating a strategic positioning 2.5, 3 years ago of our omni-channel space, our connected commerce experience. And we partnered up with a lot of the big competitors in South Africa. So we partnered up with our competitors and people thought we were absolutely crazy. They're like, but why would you partner up with your competitor? And I brought it down to a simple aspect. We are excellent at product. We source the best product, we deliver the best product, and we can fulfill the best product. So we looked at how do we leverage big marketplaces around South Africa to bring our marketing spend down, use their database to acquire a customer, and how do we scale effectively on our product? We listed on almost every single big marketplace in South Africa, from the biggest banks to the biggest telecommunication companies to the biggest e-commerce stores. And I'll tell you how that worked. A lot of the big banks and a lot of the big telecommunication companies in South Africa were entering the e-commerce space. with zero knowledge. So what did we do? We became the test dummy. So when they reached out to us or we connected and they were building, because we knew when the big players who have the data, who KYC their customer better than any of our algorithm and our cost to service a customer with the best product at the right time is the right way to go. And we saw tremendous results with that. And then we looked at Africa's, and especially South Africa's mentality when it came to the side hustle, right? The side hustle. So about 2.5, 3 years ago, I used to talk at a lot of the universities. I also talk at I'm part of the board of advisors for the Durban University of Technology on digitizing retail and wholesale sector. Because what we found there is individuals are coming out of campus with a digital marketing degree, but they've never seen Facebook Ad Manager. They don't even know what HTML tags and SEO are. So we looked at how do we bridge that gap? And we started building resellers. So when we started building our own resellers and drop shipping, and Planet 54 was one of the first drop shipping suppliers in Orbolo. Orbolo is one of the largest drop shipping platforms in the Shopify and the tech ecosystem. We were the first African supplier to be part of that. And with that product journey, still talking about Planet 54, we launched a beta test for a reseller platform. And we said, let's give back to the community. I mean, South Africa has a massive market of underprivileged youths who's never even had access to technology, never even had access to YouTube to learn how to use technology. And we started going down into the locations, into the rural communities, and telling people that with this device, with zero stock, with zero anything, you can actually become a reseller. And we launched our beta test of what is now 411 Gen. It worked fantastically well. We started getting a lot of scale. And the humbling part of it was that those people who were going to campus, who were catching a taxi, who had no money for food, but they had campus Wi-Fi and campus data, they could actually become resellers on technology through Planet 54 and 419 Gen. And we've held schools, we've held incubator programs, and that is how we actually brought the business to 411 Gen, our influencer creator commerce platform.
Love it. I think, Shahil, what I'm finding really interesting is when you talk about, really building ecosystem of partnerships, and maybe in the world of tech, this is becoming more and more important, building partnerships that can actually help you scale up. So really, really interesting, intelligence that you're sharing. Maybe let's talk about 411 Gen itself. Obviously, I know this is kind of your new venture. What does the brand name mean, and what are the core values? Maybe also talk about the creator commerce opportunity and how you plan to disrupt retail in the next phase of influencer commerce.
Sure, thanks, Zeeshan. So yeah, 419 Gen is my new baby, and when we looked at building this technology about a year and a half ago, very, very forward thinkers. And I can humbly say, I think the creator economy word wasn't even buzzing around when we were talking about it. And why the name 411 Gen, first of all, is what's the 411 on this generation? I mean, we're building technology for the Gen Zs, for the younger generation, and understanding that market is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. The exposure they have, the decision-making they have, the mindsets they have isn't even compared to our understanding and perception of what's going on in the market. And when we built Planet 54, 419 Gen, we looked at how does this technology become disruptive? Being a brand, being a retailer, we went through the pain and suffering of working with creators, working with influencers, commercializing it, the data aspect, tracking it. We lived through the problems. And when we built the technology and we built the solution, we looked at the future of the creator economy. And there's a lot of data and statistics talking about the future is looking to be a $1.2 trillion industry. I personally believe that is not even touching the surface of it. Because if you have to take a snap back of what e-commerce was in the early 2000s, in the early 2005s, no one understood it. You could forecast, you could understand, you could project, but we haven't really actually touched what the creator economy can become. If you look at brands that have done very well, the Logan Pauls, the Primes, I mean, Prime launched in South Africa about 2 or 3 weeks back. Never in our country's history have we seen a brand activation like that. You know, the hype, the relevance, and Zeeshan, the ecosystem of peer-to-peer commerce. Take it back to how sales used to be back in our parents' days, right? Knock on the door, open up your briefcase, try and sell them products. The peer-to-peer sales and the peer-to-peer commerce aspect of commerce, we feel that that's coming back to life with the creator economy. And the technology we built is how do brands and creators and creator-led brands scale. We're having some talks with some exciting stuff here with creators and Forbes of how do you take a creator-led brand, now build creators under this creator-led brand. And I mean, I've got a 5-year-old son, and imagine if my son, let's take Logan Paul, for example, if my son, when he's 8, 9, 10, he can say, Dad, I'm selling my favorite brand's products through my own platform, through my own creator. I mean, Adidas, Nike. Imagine if we grow up and we could say that I had my own Nike mini store, my own Adidas mini store. So the creator economy and where I feel it going is absolutely exciting. And I'll tell you why, is because what TikTok has done, what social media was, it built call it a lookbook of what influencers are and what creators are. What TikTok has done in the past 12 to 24 months completely democratized what that space is. What the youth will now look at and understand is that TikTok space, right? They won't understand what was before that. And growing up with that notion of me being an average person doing a live or a video and talking about my favorite restaurant that I went to could get 1 million views and 1 million likes. People who may follow me as somebody who's not a bodybuilder. I used to be just some flex, and I used to be a pro MMA fighter, right? That's how I actually met my wife. My wife came to one of my pro fights here in South Africa in 2010. And imagine if I could sell the supplements that I take, the product that I wear, the merch that I wore as an average person and earn an income off it. So super disruptive, super excited for it. And it's really, really unknown how this thing can scale, but it's a space that's not going anywhere.
Love it. Also, I love the tip as well, Shahil. I mean, if you want to find your life partner, you go and join a fighting club. So, so I mean,
Absolutely.
maybe also talk about, obviously, you are disrupting a very large market. I mean, you shared some of the stats as well, 1.2 trillion and maybe even more dollars over the next few years. And where are you seeing 411 Gen, you know, maybe 5 years, even 10 years down the line? I know you're just getting started. Maybe share some of your futuristic plans as you're looking to disrupt the retail market.
Yeah. So Zeeshan, I think when you look at the product now, right, and the product now is built to connect brands and creators, really partnership and really partner, not before where when you look at how brands and creators and influencers were partnering up, it was very one way. And you know, I'll pay you, you put out content, we get some views, we get some likes, we get some impressions. And then you look at the cycle, you know, a creator's on for 3 months, they off for 6 months because another creator came on board. So our technology right now is solving that problem, where it's commercializing it. You know, you get your own mini store, your own app, etc. But where I really believe and where our team is really believing the future of this technology is going is how does a platform give a creator and a brand all the first party and transparent data to scale and become entrepreneurs. And if I have to deep down a bit more and go down the rabbit hole about that is when you look at the data aspect and you look at all the technology being built around us right now, Web 3.0, and Web 3.0 about decentralized ecosystem and decentralized systems and content, okay? When you look at content right now, I may go out to an amazing restaurant, wear this top, take out a picture, tag the brand, get sales, great, all good. But what happens to that content when it lives on the web? And how do I keep on getting commercialized for that ongoing? And if I have to give you a layman's example, and we've seen it about a good couple of months back where brands are now adapting this mindset. UGC, we all know about user generated content and how that's helped brands to build that peer-to-peer relationship with creators and influence for a brand. And where we feel the ecosystem in the creator economy is going is I'm a creator, you're a brand, and we partner up for a long-term partnership. And how does that long-term partnership look? If I partner up with a brand, and the devil's advocate in this whole thing, Zeeshan, is now the time that creators and influence actually have to do work, right? They have to put out great content. They have to understand their audience, right? They have to understand their audience, and it can be done with our type of platform and tools. And they have to really service the people following them. Before it was, let me do a post, let me get some likes, or I've got all these views. But who are these views? How e-commerce, you build your LTV, you build your CPA, you build your AOV. How do creators build that? Through their audience. And the exciting part and challenging part is, how do you build that? Through all these different platforms. Because if I'm following you on Instagram, I'm following you for a very different reason if I'm following you on TikTok. And you cannot be the same creator who has a one strategy model for Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all of these platforms. They have to be different because you have different audiences and you have different engagements. And how we look at the future with our technology going is, how does the platform take all these data touch points? How do they service it to a brand to understand influencers audience through all of these platforms and content? And how does the creator, and this is our goal, have their COO, their CTO, their CMO as an individual that's building and scaling their own business in the creator economy? Why it's so important? Because if I'm a creator who has access to data of sales being brought in from the content I posted on different channels of products being sold and profit being made, I can actually hire my own chief technical officer. I can hire my own chief operating officer. I can hire a team behind me. And that is where we believe the part of the creator economy is going, is building this ecosystem, building a new entrepreneurship model. And the peer-to-peer commerce data is so exciting. I mean, as a creator working for a brand, and if I'm working for a brand and I now found top five people in my audience who are now building their own audience tree of their own followers, of their own engagement, they can have our own partnership with me. And that's where building and layering the tech stack is going to be fun.
Shahil, you are a true legend and a visionary. Let me ask you one final point and a question as well. If I am a 25-year-old young graduate and I'm looking to start my own venture, or I'm probably short on ideas, but I'm fascinated by the world of entrepreneurship. What advice would you give to that 25-year-old who's actually confused but very keen to launch something?
Zeeshan, that is a great question. And I'm going to talk about my personal experience. And myself growing up in the tech space, I was the first person to watch YouTube video, how to dropship. I was the first person how to create print on demand. I was the first person on NFTs in the space. My advice to young entrepreneurs is, don't be led by how much of money something can make. You will find thousands of YouTube videos, hundreds of thousands of TikTok videos right now about how to make money with AI, how to make money with AI, how to make money with AI. Yes, you can make a couple of $1,000, maybe $100,000, but I would look at, what can I do that I absolutely love? I have a die-hard passion for. I will wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning and work till 10 o'clock in the morning because it's something I love. I will then take that passion, I will group it into 10 or 20 type of ideas, and I will launch it. Going and launching something and an idea and a concept, when you catch something on YouTube and on TikTok saying, top 10 ways to get rich with AI. If you follow that, it's very short-lived. And what will happen to you as a person is you will try it. Yes, you will fail, but you'll be demotivated and you'll say that the entrepreneurship world is not for me, but you were led by the wrong incentive. The money will come when you build something great that you love and find someone to buy it. So to round off on that aspect, I always believe in speed to market, be extremely quick to launch something, build the plane while it's in the air. If you wait for perfection, you are never going to launch it. And you are always going to wait and saying, damn it, I fix it in the air, iterate it, and launch it even quicker.
Amazing piece of advice, Shahil. In short, find your passion and then pursue it. Thank you so much, Shahil, for your time. And we are looking forward to seeing you and 411 Gen reach new heights. Thank you so much. And please do come back and share your progress in the coming months and years.
Excellent. Zeeshan, thank you so much for having me, and super excited to be part of the GeniusesCast podcast, and chat to you guys soon.
With pleasure.